In this video, we're going to go over all the things you need to know before considering buying in a brand new development in the Calgary area. You know, you might think this is kind of crazy what I'm about to say, but it's true. The riskiest purchase you'll ever make in real estate is buying new construction. Now, I'm not saying don't buy new construction. I love new construction. You just need to really be aware of some of the risks that are associated with buying a brand new home. And if you're aware of these things, you'll make better decisions. Now, first and foremost, builder reputation. Now, as much as that's important, believe me when I tell you it's not the end-all be-all. I've seen a home construction company like Reed Built Homes that was in business for 40 years and they went under, and there was a lot of havoc that was raised from that. There was all kinds of properties that were halfway built. So you do want to reduce your risk as much as possible by working with a company that has been around for a while and does have a good reputation. Like I said, it can still be risky. Some of these businesses can still go under, but chances are pretty high. If they've been doing it a long time, they're probably going to finish your home because they're going to be around for a long time yet. So do your research, and if you can, talk to people who have used this builder in the past and what kind of an experience that they've had. Keep in mind one thing. The builder has been around for a long time, but it's the people in the organization that make it work. Because the builder that owns the company isn't coming to the house that you're building. It's going to be the crew that they hire to do it. And you want to know your crew. In fact, here's a little tip for you. If you are building, get to know that crew. Not a bad thing to show up on Friday with some Tim Hortons coffee and some donuts. Goes a long way, knowing your crew. You're nice to them. They want to do the extra things for you. That makes a huge difference when it comes to building new construction. Now, one of the perks of building a new home is, there's that peace of mind of warranty. But not all warranty companies are equal. In Canada, some of the bigger ones for Alberta is Alberta New Home Warranty, Progressive, National. Those are some of the bigger ones. There's a few others as well that do exist. But I want you to understand something. They do work in conjunction with the builder. And so if you have a warranty issue in the future, you do need to work with the warranty company and the builder. You should know what that looks like. And here's another little tip for you. When you give your deposit down to the builder, is that deposit protected? Because most home warranty companies have no deposit protection, meaning that the builder does use your money, and if that builder was to go out of business, you would lose that money. So deposit protection is important, which can either be in a lawyer's trust account or under Alberta New Home Warranty, they actually have deposit protection. Something to consider. And by the way, when you're watching this video, do me a huge favor. You can always reach out to me with any questions. My number's on the screen, and I'm happy to answer them, because you might actually have quite a few questions about the home building process. Or, you can put your comments here below. I don't mind the comments at all. The good, the bad, and the ugly, it's all good. So don't hesitate to be able to do that for me. But again, I do like talking to people, so text me or give me a phone call. Now let's consider the communities. Obviously, when you're looking for new home construction, there's certain communities that you're attracted to around the city, and all of them offer something a little bit different. But here's something to really think, and I know so many people don't consider this when they're looking at new home construction, because you're thinking, hey, I'm going to be in this home for a long time. Maybe I'm going to raise my family here. The whole 9 yards. You're thinking that maybe this is even your last property. Usually it's not. Most of the time, people do make a move because life gets in the way, things happen. You might get a new job across the town, or maybe, who knows, maybe you just don't like the community for one reason or another. So you need to think resale value. Think about that. As you look at the community, is this a community that a lot of other people would want to own here? And why? Why would you want to be in this community? What specifically does this community offer that makes people want to own here? Because it's not just nice houses as to why they come in. It's the feel of the community, what the amenities of that community offer, and the location of that community to some of the more interesting things around town. Now, once you're in the community, you have to really take a look at where things are going to be built. You really need to ask a lot of questions, because my experience working with builders, and again, I'm not throwing builders under the bus here. There's some wonderful builders in Calgary. I've had great experiences with them, knowledgeable, and they always want to be very helpful and make sure you have all the right information. I've also seen it the other way where they withhold information that's important. So for example, there might be some farmland in behind this development and you ask the builder what's going behind there. Well, I can tell you hands down, if the builder says, well, we're not sure yet, or it's gonna stay farmland for probably a long time, the truth is you don't really know. That farmland, the city it might be city-owned property. If it's privately owned, that could go up for sale and that can change really quickly. So if you have green space behind you, you want to be clear about what's going to be there. Or if there's even anything that's undeveloped, make sure you find out what's going to be there. For all you know, they're putting up some commercial or retail business in there. That might affect your ability to want to live next to that, and it certainly can affect the value of the real estate within that community. Now, some of these new communities now have what they call homeowners association fees, and some people are confused about what that is. And believe me, this is a good thing because the city of Calgary only has so much money to look after the trees and the lawns and whatnot for all of the common properties that are owned by the city. So it's good to have a homeowners association fee because there's extra money there to take care of these trees and the landscaping and the grass and that sort of thing. And you'll notice when you drive around Calgary and you look at some of these communities that actually have these HOA fees, you can tell right away the extra money that is there. And it's not usually too much money. HOA fees are usually anywhere from like $150 a year to $500 a year for a lake community. Now, what about if you're looking at new construction and condominium? Now, with condominium, you got to understand something when it comes to fees. The fees are not going to be 100% in stone. The builder, when they're building these are proposed plans. So they create bylaws, they create what they think the condo fees might be, but quite frankly, they don't know for sure because the board hasn't been established yet in most cases, and they haven't had an engineer come in and do an engineer study, so it's hard to say exactly what the condo fees are going to be. So make sure you allocate for that. I've seen a lot of situations where the condos were like really low, and for the buyer they thought, hey, this is great. The condo fees are only $200 a month. And then right after they moved in, 6 months later, the condo board then took over and they were able to establish that board and get the engineer's report in, and suddenly the condo fees were now $400 a month. So you've got to be aware of that because again, everything is proposed when you're buying new construction from a builder. Now, a question I get asked quite a bit is, what about builder incentives? Well, the truth is, builder incentives do exist, but I'll tell you something, builders are like any other business. Builders adjust to the market. So if it's a low inventory, high demand market, I've seen incentives completely disappear, where you literally pay for everything because the builder can get away with it just because the demand is there. In markets where there's a lot more supply and less demand, it's amazing how many builder incentives that there are. Builder incentives can be all kinds of things. It can be a washer and dryer, upgraded appliance package. It could be a bigger deck in the backyard. It could be upgraded window coverings, even carpet. You might get a higher grade of carpet. So there's a lot of little things that a lot of times people forget to ask. They get this list of the specs from the builder and they just more or less accept that. I can tell you most of the time, even in conditions where it's a seller's market, there's usually some kind of an incentive that you can get. It's actually one of the reasons I developed this VIP service that we have in working with builders, where we've actually gone and done the legwork as to what the incentives are going to be. We become a one-stop shop, so if you're interested in that, just reach out to me because you could be on our VIP list for those builder incentives that we can help you out with. Now, when working with new construction, there's two types of properties that you can get. One is the ready-to-move-in home, and these are great because, well, it's simple. Their houses are ready to move into, so it's otherwise known as a spec house. And so you can walk through the home, it's basically done, it's move-in ready, but of course, in that situation, whatever floor plan they have, whatever the colors that have been picked, that's got to work for you. So it's great because you can just move in right away, and if you like it, it's great. Now, most people, they want to be able to choose their floor plan, choose their colors. I think that's one of the benefits of building. Now, you get into timelines here that can be pretty interesting. You should be very aware of this. So the builder might say to you, it's going to take 1 year to get your home built. The fact of the matter is, that date is based on some unknowns. We don't know if the builder can get all the product in a timely fashion. Sometimes there's delays on lumber or other materials, and that can set things back. Sometimes there's all of a sudden that there's a oversupply, and things can go quicker. Even with tradespeople, sometimes there's a shortage of tradespeople. Sometimes the market gets a little slow, and all of a sudden there's more work for these tradespeople to speed things up. I actually one time had a client where they were told it was going to be 6 months for their house to be built, and they got this letter stating that they had to move in 45 days. And that's something that you have to really, really pay attention to, because the contracts for the builder are specific for that builder. There's not a one-size-fits-all for these contracts. But one thing I've noticed on all builder contracts is you're going to get that 45-day notice for your permit that gives you the ability to move into the home. It's your occupancy permit. And when you get these occupancy permits, it doesn't mean that the entire house has been finished. What I mean by that is there's some things that the builder can come back and finish later, and they call them seasonal deficiencies. So things like the decorative rock outside, or maybe the sidewalks, and some extreme cases, even the garage pad is not done, but you can still move into the home with these things not being done, and you're expected to. And we're required to trust that the builder will come back in a timely fashion. The truth of the matter is, you have no idea when the builder will come back. That's why you want to be working with a good, reputable builder. Get some idea of a timeline. I've seen people wait a long time for some of these seasonal deficiencies to be met. But when you're given that 45-day notice, you have to be ready and prepared to take possession of your home. And if you don't, you look at the contract, the interest rate for being late in almost every builder contract I've seen is about 18.9%. Some of them as much as 24%. So the penalties are huge. Got to be aware of that. So financing these new construction homes is another angle a lot of times people don't consider. Let's say it is a year away before you can have your home built. And you might go to your mortgage company right now and say, okay, I'd like to apply for a new mortgage, but I'm going new construction, so it's going to be a year before it's done. You should be aware of this. Some lenders only give a 120-day rate guarantee, and they also only give a guarantee on giving you the mortgage for that 120 days based on your current situation, meaning your income doesn't change, your job situation doesn't change, like no major changes at all in your current financial situation. Well, between now and a year from now, what would happen if you were offered a better job, for example, and you wanted to go to a new job? Some lenders, they might look at that as a negative and not give you a mortgage now because you're starting a new job. I've also seen lenders that simply want to do a complete new application right before you take possession a year from now, and you're vulnerable to, a rate increase, for example, or again, what if you don't qualify for the mortgage then? A lot of people don't think about this. Some banks, and I do know one in particular is RBC, they do a great job of that. Once they approve you on a new construction, that is written in stone and that doesn't change. So be very careful which lender you pick when you're dealing in new construction. All right, a couple more things to think about. When you're getting towards the finish line and you're ready to take possession and you're doing your walkthrough for your home, I'm a really big fan of doing a home inspection. Yes, I just said it, a home inspection on a brand new home. And you might think, why would that be necessary? It's really simple. Builders do make mistakes. They're human beings. I have seen some interesting things in my time. We had a home one time where one of the walls had no insulation. We were able to find that using the geothermal camera at the home inspection. Just a big mistake. We had another home where we discovered the HVAC wasn't hooked up into the master bedroom. Can you imagine how cold that would be in the wintertime? So we identified these issues. We had no problem getting the builder, fixing the problems before they moved in, but we got that looked after. So I'm a big fan of doing that. The other thing to think about, real property reports. A lot of builders don't give them. You want to make sure you get one because they are $1,000, and you want to get one with a certificate of compliance stamp as well, because that's an extra cost that has to go down to the city. And that means you want to make sure you get that done, after the deck has been put in, or if you're getting a detached garage put in, that it gets done after everything has been built in the backyard. Otherwise, you're required to get an update, which is also an extra cost. So just a couple little more tips for you. Now, the other thing I highly recommend, just going back to referencing the contract again, I really recommend you look carefully at that contract, maybe review it with a lawyer or someone like me who's a real estate agent that has seen a lot of them with experience, because those contracts, as I said earlier, they are different for every builder, and they really are designed to protect the builder as well, and rightfully so. I mean, the builder does take some risk in building these homes for people, and things can go wrong, and buyers can sometimes not buy the homes, and the builder is left with it. So they have to create an environment with an agreement that really obligates both parties equally. But everyone I've looked at does favor the builder, and that's why you want to really understand, where you're maybe a little vulnerable and whether you're really comfortable with that. Because some people I've worked with, after really looking at it carefully, they just decided that new construction wasn't for them. So these are the things to consider. I always say, when you understand what to look for and you've got some guidance with someone that knows what you're doing, you'll always make better decisions. All right, well, once again, I hope the video has been helpful, and I'm going to ask you to do what everybody asks you to do these days. But hey, if these videos have been helpful, sure, give me the thumbs up and like it, and you can subscribe to it, because I put these out pretty regularly, and I do try to keep them obviously as informative as possible. And I'll say this again, please do me a favor, reach out, give me a call, like, hey, pick up the phone. I do answer it. I'm one of the few people that do answer their calls on a regular basis, and I can't say enough about this. The comments, I love them. Please give them.